after running multiple trials on every new iPhone, and then finding out that there was a bug in iOS that caused some of these iPhones to drain abnormally, and then having to wait for the updates, and then run the trials again, taking up weeks and weeks and weeks of our time, the iPhone 15 series battery test is finally here. And this year, it's the same story as last year. We have different screen sizes, different display technologies, and even different chipsets, which could lead to drastically different results. Whether or not it will though, well, there's only one way to find out. This video is sponsored by Ugreen, who sent out their new GAN charger that looks like a tiny little robot. It's got little headphones, a little screen, and even little shoes that give it a super fun look. But it's not just for looks. The screen actually shows your device's charge status. The shoes are there for protecting the prongs when you travel, and they're also magnetic, so you can stick this onto different surfaces while you're not using it. And the headphones, well, the headphones are just there to make them look like it's rocking out to music. But don't let the tiny footprint fool you. This thing has 30 watts of power from its single USB-C port, meaning you can charge an iPhone 15 Pro up to 50% in just 30 minutes. The GAN Fast Tech in here provides 95% energy conversion efficiency, which Ugreen says can reduce up to 8.8 pounds of CO2 production. And beyond that, the RG30 has Ugreen's thermal guard protection to help keep your devices safe, with the charger automatically adjusting power levels if needed. And the best part is you can get this cute little robot for only $16. And if you need more power, they also have a 65-watt version for charging multiple devices. Check out Ugreen's Black Friday deals for up to 50% off at the first link down below. Alright, we'll kick things off in the phone test, where all four are going on the same 1-hour phone call, where 60 minutes into it, the iPhone 15 is the only one that reported any battery drain, dropping down to 98%, while the other three are still reporting 100%. Of course, this is likely just Apple rounding up on the other phones, so we'll see what happens here in the messaging test, where the phones are texting back and forth with our automated chatbot. It's worth noting that all four phones are within equal distance of the mini cell tower in our lab, and all four have had their screens calibrated to 200 nits of brightness, where after an hour of texting, the big boys do the best, with them each dropping by 6 percentage points, while the smaller phones each drop by 7 points. In this email test, we're not doing anything too intensive, it's just opening up some emails and scrolling through them a couple of times. So the main thing that's going to be drawing the power here are the screens, where the Pro models should technically have the advantage, since they can actually ramp their refresh rates down to 10 Hz, while the standard models are stuck at 60 Hz. And that's pretty much what we see, with the iPhone 15 Pro Max taking the lead over the 15 Plus, and the 15 Pro pulling out ahead of the regular iPhone 15. But it's this browser test that's the most interesting to me, since now we're actually putting those chipsets to work by loading up the same set of websites, where in theory, we should see the 3nm A17 Pro in the Pro models give them an advantage. But after an hour, it's actually the opposite, with both of these standard models doing 2 points better than their Pro model counterparts, which comes at a really big surprise. You would think that the new A17 Pro would be more efficient than last year's A16 Bionic chip, but at least in the browser test, clearly that wasn't the case. But we'll see what happens here in Instagram. This test isn't anywhere near as intensive as the browser is. We're just scrolling through the home feed like you would in real life, and this time, order is restored. The bigger models do the best, the iPhone 15 Pro comes in third, while the regular iPhone 15 does the worst once again. Heading into the standby test, it's worth noting that we have disabled the always-on displays on the Pro models just to keep everything nice and even, but we did make an entirely different video covering AOD drain if you want to see it, linked below. But after 16 hours of having their screens off here, they all performed very similarly, all draining by 8 points, except for the iPhone 15 Pro, which drained by 9 points. But really not that big of a difference, and here on YouTube, I actually expect the Pro models to do better than the standard models, given that they can ramp their screens down to as low as 24 Hz while watching these videos, where again, the standard models are locked at 60 Hz. But after an hour of binge watching, Unlike the iPhone 14 series, that didn't happen with the iPhone 15 series, with the iPhone 15 Pro Max only being able to match the performance of the 15 Plus, while the 15 Pro did significantly worse, draining by 16% compared to the standard model's 12% drain. Now, one error that I annoyingly only discovered after we ran all of these trials was that the 15 Pro did have ambient mode on YouTube enabled there, which may help explain some of the difference, but I don't know if it explains all of it. But we'll see how it does here in Alto's Adventure. For this test, we're not just having the phone sit there, we're actually tapping on the screens and actively playing, and after an hour of doing so, it's a mixed result. The 15 Pro Max does the best, dropping by only 10 points, while the 15 Pro does the worst, once again, draining by 17 points, which has allowed the standard iPhone 15 to pull 8 points ahead of it at 25%, while the big boys are all tied up at nearly double that at 47%. But the good news for the 15 Pro is after an hour of simulated navigation, it's able to catch up a bit, doing 2 points better than the standard 15. It'll need to do a lot more than that here in Spotify to fully make the comeback, where all 4 phones have had their speakers calibrated to the same decibel count, with our robots simply listening to music here. And after an hour, oh man, the iPhone 15 Pro is on its last leg now, with just 2% battery remaining, while the standard iPhone 15 still has 12%. For the big boys, those larger batteries show their muscle, with the 15 Pro Max taking the lead once again at 30%, and the 15 Plus just barely behind it, 2 points less at 28%. I don't know how much longer the iPhone 15 Pro will be able to last here in Snapchat, which is easily the most intensive test that we've done so far, and after just 7 minutes, it is completely drained, while the standard iPhone still has 10% left to go, so a pretty big difference there between the two. Of course, that 10% is only able to last the iPhone 15 another 35 minutes before its battery dies, while the 15 Plus is still at 18% and the 15 Pro Max is still at a healthy 20%, meaning both of the bigger models can finish up with Snapchat and move on to the app cycle test, where we're opening these apps up, closing them all, and then repeating the process over and over again until they die. This is pretty taxing on the chipsets, but impressively, both phones are able to make it past the 1 hour mark, with the 15 Plus going for 1 hour and 35 minutes before it dies, giving the Pro Max the win here, with it still having 2% left to go, which at least in app cycle is able to last it another 9 minutes. So overall, the results were pretty much in line with what we were expecting, outside of the iPhone 15 Pro, which just fell a little bit short. We might just have to do another trial on it once it gets a couple of updates, but at least for now, that is it for me in this video. Thank you for watching, and as always, I'll see you in the very next episode.